G'day, I'm Paula Deacon and welcome to my presentation on an art and commerce project. I've been curious about entering art competitions, not expecting to win, but would it be a good way to be seen? Today my talk is on the Archibald Portrait Prize event. My interest in this event over the years has left me with a few questions of what is the scope and who are the participants? Is the context inclusive of this nationally known art prize? And what is the value of entering? This art community project, with its establishment beginning in 1916, with the competition first awarded in 1921, with the scope of the competition's goal, in the terms of J.F. Archibald's will, being to award an artist for Best Portrait, with the prize value currently of $100,000 and the cost to enter being $50,000, with the artworks delivered for judging. The deliverables for the art prize is a portrait of some man or woman distinguished in art, letters, science, or politics, painted from life during the 12 months preceding the competition's date. The artist must also be a resident of Australia or New Zealand for 12 months prior to the date, which for this year was the 1st of April. The delivery of entries must be between the 21st of March to 1st of April. This event appears to be inclusive to all artists residing in the whole of Australia and New Zealand. 11 members of the Board of Trustees at the Art Gallery of New South Wales judge the prize. The context of this project, with the inclusion of this nationally known portrait prize, which has been regularly likened to the Melbourne Cup, with 52 finalists chosen last year from 938 entries for a national competition, I was surprised there wasn't a lot more. I wanted to find if the artist's geological location impacted the winning entry, and gender, and the artist's social and cultural standings. Could anyone win? Finding the answers to this list would determine the odds. This research of this event has answered or confirmed questions. Distinguished in art, letters, science, or politics is preferred and would be favourably rewarded, which can limit the artist by their social standing. Painted from life is another limit placed on the artist, having to know the sitter or being able to meet them. This can be limited by the circles the artist associates with culturally and socially, though it could be an opportunity to put oneself out there to widen your network. While the scope invites residents only, this doesn't apply to the sitter, but with at least one sitting needed to be in life is another limiting factor, meaning they have to be in the country. In this article, voiced by Simon Alvery, written in 2018, only once in the history of the Archibald, in 2016, has gender balance of artists on the list of finalists reached parity. Alvery goes on to state the Archibald winner is rarely painted by or depicting a woman. In recent years, more women have been awarded first prize and chosen as finalists. In 2021, there are over 6,000 finalists with more than 1,500 women, not quite a third, and similar for female sitters. The data sourced by Alvery's article is from the Art Gallery of New South Wales. There is an obvious bias to the state's holder of the competition, which the Melbourne Cup doesn't have. This collection data indicates gender from 2018, clearly showing a gender bias of the winning artist, with 6% being female and 8% being female sitters. This has increased with the Gallery of New South Wales claiming finalists are now a third of females, increasing their chances, but not a third are winners. Location matters, with fewer awarded artists are outside of New South Wales and Victoria, with these two states being 84% and the rest of Australia and New Zealand being 18%. While only Australians with an interest in the arts do await the announcement of the winner, with these biases, surely this event can't be compared to the Melbourne Cup as a national event, as the National Gallery of New South Wales claims. Funding of this event is donations and event takings. In their annual report, the Gallery of New South Wales thanks the ANZ Bank for their continued support for the Archibald and the Archibald regional tours. Documented in the report is $472,000 going to Australian artists in art prizes and scholarships, including the Archibald. With 2,144 entries for the Archibald and other prizes received, funds are also raised by entry fees and hiring of the venue while the exhibition is on. This is a large event with employees and volunteers. They are not only for this event but are part of the gallery throughout the year and the additional prizes and exhibits that are part of this annual occurrence, including the judges with the 11 main judges for the Archibald, then the packing room judges and the workers. People's Choice Awards is by the general public, and the Gallery of New South Wales has 150 volunteer guides and 220 general volunteers. This is for the entire gallery, not just the Archibald. Online staff would also be involved with promotions and maintaining their website. The largest target audience for the main Sydney exhibition is local residents, visitors, and draws a large number of tourists. The exhibit is taken on a tour of regional galleries in New South Wales and one in Victoria. These locations change each year but are confined to New South Wales. It misses a majority of states in Australia, and none of New Zealand is in the annual exhibits. Participants will find call-outs on social media annually promoting the open and closing dates of the competition. For a small fee, all artists are possible participants and are encouraged to enter. Before 1945, every entry was hung with no limit to the number of entries. From 2002, entries were limited to 2, and since 2003, there is a limit 1 per entry per artist. The age of previous winners is encouraging, with the youngest in 1938 being 28 and the oldest winner aged 77. On 2 occasions in 1964 and 1980, no award was given, due to the judges deciding no entry was worthy of the award. Some years the winner of the packing room prize has not been selected as a finalist to the main prize. Perhaps it is like in the Melbourne Cup, as the winner is impossible to pick, as there is no predetermined features or previous wins being taken into account. Augusta recommendations to improve the value of an artist entry by a list of how to win the Archibald Prize. 1. Prepare so the painting is not wet. 2. Choose your subject carefully. Select something featured prominently in the year's events. Someone controversial or high influence is half the battle. Aim to incite discussion. Someone old or someone living dangerously, and if they die just before, has helped in the past. 3. It should challenge, surprise, or intrigue to seize the audience's attention and give them something to think about. 4. Use styles and techniques that reflect the sitter, and they must be recognizable. 5. Pay the entry fee. Since 1921, the prize has attracted entries from both prominent and emerging artists in Australia and New Zealand, and featured people from all walks of life, from famous faces to local heroes. In 1921, an additional project and promotional spin-off, Australia's oldest and most loved portrait award, the Archibald Prize, celebrated its 100th birthday. A Century of the Archibald unearths fascinating stories behind more than 100 artworks, carefully selected from every decade. This new project reflects not just artistic styles and approaches to portraiture have changed over time, but also the changing faces of Australia, resulting from many years of research for lost portraits. This landmark exhibit features works from the Art Gallery's collection, as well as works from libraries, galleries and museums across Australia and New Zealand, and private Australian and international collections. Some paintings have not been seen since first being exhibited in the Archibald. In their annual report, the Gallery of New South Wales states that despite significant reconfiguration of the exhibition program in response to COVID-19, they staged their 4 major ticketed exhibitions, which included the Archibald Art Prize. They were visited by 179,000 people, although delayed by 2020 lockdown, which brought many firsts. With a virtual opening event and a first live-streamed announcement of the winners, the gallery's digital presence continues to grow, with highlights included 360-degree virtual exhibition tours, an expanded visual school excursion and program, a new series of online talks. The Art Gallery's online social media presence remained an important way to connect with their community and with it them. They drew 65 million impressions across Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn, with 2.1 million engagements, up to 1.5 million from the previous year. A feature television program, including the ABC's 3-part series Finding the Archibald, co-produced and presented by actor Rachel Griffiths, provided additional insights into the exhibition. This is a screenshot of the 360-degree virtual exhibition tour, which is online. The prize brings value to New South Wales economically, as residents outside of New South Wales can't view the original artworks and visit one of the few locations. The importance of the competition culturally and socially is being revealed, with the stories, paintings and information being researched for the Archie 100. The additional promotional documentation of the 100 year of paintings shows how opinions and biases existed and have changed, with controversy as being an annual feature. There is a great value for the individual artist to be a finalist. Their name goes down in history as being part of the exhibit viewed by over 10,000 people. This event is a life-changing moment for the winner, one of which many aren't prepared for.
Big life-changing experience. Is that what happened with you, Wendy? Did you find that it was a really big change? Is there before and after Archibald?
I think it did make, in terms of my career, it did make a huge difference to me. I had won other things beforehand, Portia Geach, the Sulman, and scholarships and things, but none of those have any comparison to the Archibald, the amount of attention that you get. What it mostly did was that not so much as kind of as a result of winning the Archibald, I got a lot of other things afterwards, various, I was an official artist to East Timor. I had a commission through the War Memorial, and there were other things like that, which I didn't get directly from winning the Archibald, but when they were recommending me to whoever, they could say, and she's won the Archibald. So it sort of gave me a tick of approval when I was applying for something, or when someone wanted me to do something. So it is sort of a major thing on your CV.
And Del, did you find that it was really changing in that way?
I agree with Wendy insofar as, for me, it just has this really uncanny, it's the whole thing of mass appeal, and I think it legitimises you to a mass public, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, or whether that impacts or it doesn't impact, it's just kind of what it is. But certainly for me, I'd had a solo show open in Melbourne just a couple of days before I won the Archibald, and I think, thousands of people went to see that show who wouldn't have otherwise seen that show. So I would always advocate that for myself, like the greatest the greatest thing about winning the Archibald for me is that it did bring a much broader audience to my work. And I think for most people, portraiture is such an idiosyncratic and unique and problematic genre that it's usually not that representative of your broader kind of practice or oeuvre, and certainly that is the case for me. So, I mean, often people, you know, they might know you for the Archibald painting, but it doesn't necessarily represent your larger body of work. So I think it's great if people sort of have that kind of entry point, but then, you know, they have to look further. Yeah.
Yes, and Sherry, what about your career? Was it very similar?
Yes, and I'd only been exhibiting for 2 years or less, really, when I won, and so it did launch me